All right, we are live now.
We are live. Welcome everyone to our live with Ebony Expats. We are excited to have you all here to talk a little bit about life in Portugal as well as life in Bangkok, Thailand. So make sure that if you do have any questions, that you put a Q before it so we know that it's a question and so that we can address it when we have our allocated time towards questions. So, for those who don't know, I am Cam. I am the co founder of Black in Portugal. I've been in Lisbon for almost 2 years now. And Heather is the co founder. I'll let her tell a little bit about herself, as well as Anna is the social media and brand manager. So, Heather, if you could give your intro.
Hi, everyone. My name is Heather, and I have been living in Lisbon since August of 2021. So I'm rolling into my year and a half plus some odd months here. I'm excited for this live. I've only been to Thailand once, but I'm really, really curious to see how other Black people there are building community and thriving. And I'll hand it over to Anna next.
Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. My name is Anna. I've been living in Lisbon for a little over a year now. So excited to chat with Shane and Tori today. I have not been to Thailand. And if I needed any convincing, I'm sure this conversation will convince me today to buy a ticket. So very excited.
Definitely. Thailand is a magical place and there is a thriving community of Black expats there. So definitely add it to your bucket list. So we're going to go ahead and do an introduction of Ebony Expats with Tori and Shane.
Yes, but before we do an introduction, I just want to welcome everyone that is watching. If you're watching, please let us know where you are tuning in from so we can definitely give you a personal shout out. And thank you for everyone that's here. If you're not able to watch the entire live, all the lives are recorded and they will be uploaded automatically to our YouTube channel. And we will also have a link for you to view them as well. So definitely excited for this. But let's jump into it. All right, I am going to bring both Shane and Tori to the stage and they can introduce themselves. So here's Shane and here's Tori. Hi, Shane. Hi, Tori.
Welcome.
Hi. Sawadee
ka.
Welcome. Thanks for having us. Super excited to be here with my partner, them, and talk about all the exciting things going on in Thailand.
Yes, that's good. And how long have you been in Thailand for?
Tori, I'll let you go first, actually.
Okay,
cool. So if I am lagging, I'm sorry, everybody. I try my best to get this connection together. So I'm Tori. I've been here in Bangkok for 6 years now. So I moved here in 2017. I am originally from Houston, Texas, and I love talking about Texas. So anybody who is here from H-Town, please let me know. And we founded Ebony Expats initially as Black in Bangkok, and then branded it as Ebony Expats, which we're gonna get into. But yeah, that's me.
All right, perfect. Thank you for that introduction. And now it's your turn, Shane.
So my name is Shane, and I am originally from Florida. I don't claim it often, but I will today. And I've been in Thailand for about pushing 3 years now. And I currently live in Bangkok as well, but I definitely like to fancy all the parts of Thailand as much as possible. There's a lot to offer here. So, yeah. But I've been a part of Ebony Expats honestly since I moved here. And I'll talk about more how I came in real hot looking for community. But needless to say, it's been a huge blessing to myself. And I speak as highly and as often as possible about just like what this community really means to people.
Thank you. So I'm going to go back to Tori. And can you tell me about your individual journey to Thailand and, what made you want to found Ebony Expats?
Yeah, so I'll take it back to when I was in my apartment in Houston as I was planning for my move abroad. So my background is in marketing and operations, and I have recently got laid off. So at the time I was working at an oil and gas company in Houston, got laid off, had always been thinking about moving abroad, living in Southeast Asia, understanding what business was like in Southeast Asia, and never had the opportunity. So when that layoff happened, as a lot of us do, it was just a very beautiful time for me to pivot. And I basically created a meetup group from my apartment in Houston, and it initially was called Black in Bangkok. And I really just wanted to tap in. What I was thinking about was like, I need at least 3 Black friends who can tell me where to get my hair done, who I can connect with, and know all the things that we all want to know. And as I started to do that, and just with my natural energy of like, okay, like let's go out, let's connect. We just continue to have meetups. And I started to realize that a lot of other people were looking for the same type of community, the same type of connection, being able to tap into each other. And so we eventually branded it as Ebony Expats. And I think initially we just had a lot of meetups locally. And what I have found when I was looking for a community, when I was sitting at home doing my research, as I just typically kind of do, is there wasn't really a community that was putting together events and really bringing people together in these spaces where we were coming together, talking about things, doing things together, really tapping in. And so that's just what I kind of came in and created for myself that I needed. And today we are creating the same thing that we all kind of need in this experience and journey.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. It's very similar to coming here to Portugal and not seeing anything going on and needing a thriving community. And when you see something that has a flaw, you have a solution to it, you just got to jump in. And that's really, really amazing. I definitely felt, the same energy that you had when you started. It's the same, thrive that I had when I first got to Portugal.
Beautiful.
Yes. And Shane, your story as well, your journey through Thailand and your role in Ebony Expats.
Oh man, so where do I start? So I kind of speaking to your point of seeing a need and fulfilling a goal. I'm an educator by design. I've been teaching 10 years or so, roughly. And so this was really an opportunity for me to come abroad. Honestly, I had a kind of a free ride. It was a great career move for me. So I knew I had to kind of throw caution to the wind and really like jump right in. And an opportunity like that doesn't really come twice, So it was like one of those times where I need to either I take this or regret it the rest of my life. And so that being the case, I very much marinated on it and made the decision. But part of me actually really taking the job to come out here and live abroad, which is something I always wanted to do as well, was community. I was living in LA at the time before I moved, and there was just a thriving community that I had around me. And so I knew I couldn't give that up and not replace it to some degree. So I started doing all the Black In Googles, Black In Bangkok, Black In Thailand, and sure enough, it routed me straight to Ebony Expats. It took me straight to the IG page. And so, like any proper, IG detective, I went on there and started looking for receipts, all the things. And so I came across Tori's handle at the time was in the bio section for Ebony Expats. So me being me, I slid right in her DMs like, hey, I'm moving to Thailand. I got some questions. I need to know X, Y, and Z. Can you help me? And sure enough, she got back to me. She tapped me in, let me know, like, this is what's what. It was coming off the heels of a couple events that Ebony Expats had done here recently. It was a Black Lives Matter event. I think there was some Democrats voting abroad, so helping expats that were here get their voter registration sent in. And then there was also an event with Spike Lee, who was here in Thailand at the time. And Ebony Expats had a whole meetup and a party for, I believe it was for the Five Bloods. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, like they out there moving around. Like I need to be a part of this, right? So yeah, I really came in. And for me, it wasn't just about finding community, but it was also like, how do I contribute? Like, how do I support my gifts and talents to the mix in like whatever way I can. And honestly, it started from there. I met Tori, I think a couple months after I had moved here. And honestly, we clicked right away. And I think I always just saw the bigger picture. I always was able to just like see the vision of like, it's something really special going on here. And like, we got to keep building this. We got to keep fleshing this out. And so, yeah, the rest is history, really. We've been at it ever since.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that.
And I actually have a question. So, Tori, how long were you managing Black in Bangkok, Ebony Expats before you got help, like before Shane came on board? How long were you doing it solo?
Yeah, so I started in April 2017 when I moved here, and Shane got here probably August 2020. Is that right, Shane?
Wow.
Yeah, so.
Wow. Kudos to you.
Yes,
thank you.
Wow.
I gotta speak to her credit, because like it's literally, even sometimes still people still reach directly out to her because they know that she is the face, the name, the brand that is Ebony Expats. But like, I mean, she was handling one-offs, like messaging people back, like everybody you could think of that was in the community and had a question was coming to Tori. She was the point person. She was plugging them in.
Wow.
Thank you, Shane. I appreciate that. Yeah, I do feel like that was a large part of what really kind of established EE. Just the fact that like I've kind of built this foundation and framework around like I really want people to connect with 3 other people, because that's where I was at. And I do think that it's really important for us to like really have those the access to these resources, people who get it, who understand what we have going on. And it's really not just putting people into a group chat and then allowing them to do it on their own. Like I've seen that, and that is not really what's going on. It's really just like really having to put in the energy of making sure people have the right support, that they're being directed to the right contact, et cetera, et cetera. And so, yeah. It's a lot. We were kind of talking about this before we went on live, but yeah, it is a lot just to run any type of community. And but at the end of the day, like we're in this for what it means for us as the community, and yeah, it's we're committed to the work at this point. So yeah.
Love that for y'all. And so speaking of community, I'm curious, how you would both describe the Black community specifically, both locals and expats, before Ebony Expats was established, and then subsequently, like after, how you would describe it now. Like, was it already pretty connected? Was there already a lot of resources out there, or people meeting up? Was it active, or did you guys kind of come in and provide that much needed support?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I'm going to start off just kind of talking about what I saw, which is similar to what I was saying when I was looking for a meetup group. And I'm kind of going back and forth to my notes because I really wanted to make sure I was touching certain things. But yeah, when I looked for a space to connect with, there wasn't really, like I said, a space where we were all coming together and truly having conversations, really getting the resources that we need in order to truly thrive in this journey. Because there's, as you guys know, like there are so many different levels and types of things, like from lifestyle to all the things. So I think that what I saw was that there was a lot of Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, actually not even WhatsApp. We are starting to see a lot more WhatsApp groups, but there was really just Facebook for the most part. And like Shane was saying, a lot of Black in Thailand, Black in Bali, Black in Bangkok. Here in Thailand, there was and still is a Brothers and Sisters of Thailand Facebook group. And I think that all of those spaces are very important because it obviously gives us a space to be able to tap into and be able to know that we have people out there doing the thing. But to go deeper and really bring people into this experience and answer questions, as we all have been talking about as well, is really a lot. And so I think, there wasn't really, for the most part, there's a Facebook group where we're all answering each other's questions. And that's similar to what's happening in a group chat and what is happening in a WhatsApp group. And I'm going to let Shane speak to what we've been working on for the past couple of years. But I think what was really different about EE, like I was saying, is that we were having a lot of events. And I'm going to kind of touch into some of the ways that we really started to bridge the gap with Thailand and all of that. But I think we just really went deeper with the type of resources, the partnerships, the events that we were actually doing to really touch the actual journey and the resources that we needed. So I'm gonna let you talk about what we've been doing for the past couple of years, Shane. But
Yeah, so I guess on that note, so when I came in, there was, like I said, there was those events that really much caught my attention, and were bringing the community together in meaningful ways, in very meaningful and intentional ways. And so originally when I came into the mix, it was more so to just kind of continue the momentum with that, keep people tapped in, moderate conversations, that kind of thing. But over time, what is transferred or translated into is we've created now an online virtual platform where people locally can tap in, create profiles. We can break up the community into different sub communities based on their interests or their topics. Because as you can imagine, I'm sure you guys have seen this before. It's like, you know, when all these conversations and all these different people from different places are happening in the same space, it's really hard sometimes to keep that organized and help people find exactly what they're looking for. And so in order to better support the community, we just decided we needed a way more robust platform in order for us to do that. And so we've transitioned over to Mighty Networks. We have our own designated community there. People can tap in. We can go live in that space. It's actually easier for us to share resources, information, tips. I know last year I was heavy on my content creation. So anything that was coming up with like, there was a lot of like quarantine related things and COVID changes kind of at the last minute. And so it was a place for us to share those updates, to share that information. And just keep people informed, but also connect people, not only here locally, but, you know, the platform allows us to connect aspiring expats to have access to this community and some resources. And that's really where we're focusing our energy moving forward is, or more of our energy is toward aspiring expats and people that want to come in and receive kind of coaching through the expat process and really, really what it takes to not only just move abroad and live abroad, but to really, truly thrive when you get there, especially in a place that's so far away from home and a place that probably is nothing like you've ever seen or imagined before. So that's a really, really important part of what we're doing now and the way that we're pivoting. You know, we still have things that are available to the local community, but we want to make sure we're continuing to build out sustainable platforms for people to come in at any point in their travel journey or trajectory and really make this a real possibility for them.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for sharing. I want to touch on the Mighty Network. I actually am part of a group on that app, and it is really amazing. I really enjoyed transitioning from like the Facebook group into the Mighty Network because everything is like kind of right there, and it is easier to navigate and do different things and really connect. And I also like how there's different profiles set up. When you set up your profile, you can put down, you know, where you're from, what you're doing, your interests, a quick bio. And it's easier because I noticed in the WhatsApp chats, the subgroups that we have, it's kind of like, okay, everybody do an introduction. And some people don't want to do an introduction, or you could just be looking for someone. And on that network, on that app, the Mighty Network, you could just go in, you know, see who's part of this group or see who's in it, and then start the conversation like that. I kind of feel like it's less pressure when, for me, when you do it that way, then in the WhatsApp groups where you have like 70 people, some of them don't have names, some of them don't have faces. And you're trying to navigate, you know, who is what. And the Mighty Network is definitely great. And thank you for bringing that up. I totally forgot that.
And really, to your point, what it really has allowed us to do is create integrity in the community, right? We really have a good idea about who's coming into the space, what they're offering to the space, you know, because like you said, you will just have, you know, a bunch of people, maybe people just passing through, maybe just want to, you know, ear hustle and get some information, but not really ready to contribute and show up in the ways that like we really need community to do sometimes. So that's what Mighty Networks has really allowed us to do. And I'm really excited for the things we can do. Like I said, we're going to start offering programs, you know, there's courses and consultations we can do through the platform. So it's just a really good way to kind of marry all of the things that we're doing and have a home for it virtually.
Okay. And it's all in one spot too. So that's like the best part about that app. Yeah.
You might need to look into that.
Right.
I would say sometimes it is hard. That was a transition for everyone, right? Because you also are now teaching people really how to re-engage with the community in a different way that is a little bit more, you may require a little bit more of them, right? So there's a piece of that as well, but I think the way we've structured it and just putting quality content into the space and like information, that kind of takes care of itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And can you talk a little bit about, I guess, the process to getting to the Mighty? I've never heard of the Mighty Network, so now I'm looking at
me either.
furiously Google it after this, but the process to, I guess, getting there, like how long did it take you to like build up the whole ecosystem or resource as a whole?
Well, I would say maybe, and Tori, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it really took us about maybe like four months. I want to say me and Tori kind of got in the mix around March, and then we had relaunched the community on Mighty Networks in July of that year. And what that really was a lot of just like figuring out which platform was the best for what we were trying to do, because we knew there were other objectives and other goals we had down the line. And so we also wanted a platform that we could kind of grow with. So I'd say maybe it took us about 4 months to actually like shift to there. But I'm sure, I mean, Tori had been doing research on numerous platforms prior to that. And then honestly, it's taken us about, we moved to that platform in maybe July or August of 2021. And so last year, same time, was just about a year in that space. And it's still growing. It's still something that like I learned. They've just reinvented the entire space recently. I'm sure you know what space is. So I've had to relearn what that looks like and how to support the community with that kind of, you know, shift. But I would say probably it's a work in progress, honestly. And it's something I'm going to continue to work at and continue to build, especially as we add more programming, as we add new members. It's always going to be that. So heads up if you do decide to go that route. It's definitely a stagnant platform.
I think sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I thought you were going to say 4 years. So 4 months, I feel like it's 4 months to digest. So
I think that's actually the thing that I kind of want to speak to, is that before Shane came, and just like in general, there's so many different nuanced communities within the community, right? And there's so many nuanced needs within the community. So in general, I am always thinking about like, okay, what is the next type of space? What is the new platform that we need to be trying to like introduce in general? Because things are always changing, just with our experience, what's coming up, what's going on, how we need to get communication out, who needs to be tagged and what. And I think that that's just like where we stand as a whole, is that Ebony Expats and large started off as this local community that was on the ground and doing a lot of local events, which a lot of local communities abroad are still doing. But I think that the fact that we wanted to go deeper, it was like, okay, we're going to need a platform. We need to be able to go live. We need to be able to have people log in, actually take this experience serious. And it's not really, you know, like even hearing you guys talk about Mighty Networks, I don't really think it's a platform for people until it's like for the larger community that's already living abroad, because those people do just want a group chat. They do just want to like ask you about what's going on for the weekend, right? And that's not necessarily what the person needs to be inside of a cohort or inside of a login. And we have seen that, which is what we can kind of speak to in general, but that's what we've seen. And there's just so many nuanced needs within every type of expat, and that's the whole thing. So
yes, for sure, we can definitely get into that. Heather, did you want to say something?
Yes, I want to say or give a shout out to JY Hardy, Marguerite, and Makara that are joining right now. They said hello to everyone, and definitely, if you're just joined, introduce yourselves. Let us know where you're tuning in from, and we would love to give you a personalized shout out.
Yes. Hey y'all.
Hey.
Good to see y'all.
Where y'all at right now? That's what I want to know.
Right.
I always want
where you moving from? When you coming to Thailand, let us know.
All of the things.
So Shane, going back to the coaching piece that you touched a little bit on, I think that's really interesting, like as a service that you all provide. Can you talk a little bit more about that and what someone could expect from, I guess, like the coaching program or the coaching resource?
Yeah, so it's an experience, right? We really want to bring people into this journey, into this really transformational journey of becoming an expat. I'm sure you guys can echo the same thing. This single-handedly changed our lives and opened up doors for us that we probably would have never really considered or thought were even available to us prior to that, right? So this is really, really like an important just journey. And, you know, there's a lot that goes into that. Yes, there's the relocation piece of it. Yes, there's the logistics, figuring out, you know, the nitty gritty and the details, but there's really a shift that happens within in order to do this. And a large part of our coaching will be structured around that, helping people really understand the shift that is going to happen within, the shift that they need to make. And sometimes it's going to be uncomfortable, right? It's there's going to be things that come up. And I think our goal is really to help people push through that so that they can really experience just like the opportunity and the abundance that is really on the other side of that transition. Truly, truly. And so, and I know there's a couple of things Tori will add here, but I mean, ultimately by the end of it, we want people to, one, be sure about the fact that this is where they want to come, right? And we'll give you all the insights, all the information you need to know, and give you the real, right? Because it's different from our perspective. Our unique experience is very different from everybody else's and how they, get to enjoy the expat lifestyle. But them really walking away from it, knowing why they want to do it and what they're doing it for. Like, what do they really accomplish with this move? It's not just about moving. It's not just about, running from things, right? Because some people have a misconceived notion about that as well. But it's like, no, what do you hope to accomplish in doing this and making such a huge life-changing transition? But then also connecting those people that are coming into this journey with the people that are here already, right? I think it was reading recently, but it's like loneliness is the number one cause of expats, not staying where they are. So just being able to organically connect people into a community that's already here, that's already thriving, to give them that support to continue to make such a life-changing decision. But also figure out the logistics. Like, we'll help you figure that out. We know, we've been living here. We know who, and we know who to tap into and how to make things happen. You know what I mean? Because we're here in Thailand on the ground. And so, it's a comprehensive coaching program and designed really for someone who is ready to make that transition and make that shift to a more abundant lifestyle. Truly.
For sure. And I think that I've honestly never heard of a coaching program that also focuses on like the mental and internal change that you have to undergo. So I think that's beautiful and something that is very much needed, because it's so easy to just get caught up in the admin stuff, which of course is very necessary because you don't want to come here illegally and like miss something with the paperwork. But it's like, once you get here, there's so many things that you realize, oh shoot, like I didn't think of like the spiritual part of it. Like maybe like my emotions, like just take like, especially if you come here like by yourself, or even when you come here with family, there's just so many different emotions that you don't really take into account, or at least I know I didn't take into account because I was just so focused on the paperwork. So for you guys to be able to give people that moment to pause and check in with themselves about like the why and about like the upcoming challenges that they're going to face internally and emotionally, I think is very, very important.
Yeah, because if they can master that themselves and we can show them how to work through that themselves, the world's their oyster at that point. You know what I mean? You can do anything after that. So yeah, and of course we want people to have connection, and we want people to really, really step into this experience. And especially now that we've worked with, our community, it's over 500 plus, right? Probably well into the thousands now, the way people are coming in. You know what I mean? It's hard to really keep a pulse on the exact number of people that are here, but odds are we've touched and impacted majority of them. And so we know what those concerns are. People from different backgrounds, from different lifestyles, from different financial, you know what I mean? It runs the gamut on everything. But I think that's really what we're offering and what will really set us apart from anybody else doing it.
Yeah,
absolutely. And so one more question on community before we take some questions from the audience. But I know for Black in Portugal, at least, one of our goals and like key goals that we're working towards here is not only connecting with travelers and expats that are moving here, but really to connect with like the local Black Portuguese community and local community, since it is very big and strong here. And so I'm curious if, that's also something that's crossed y'all's mind as you are trying to connect not only expats and people, Black folks moving, traveling, visiting Thailand, but if there's also a focus on connecting to local Thai communities, maybe local Black people that are in Thailand, if that's ever something that's crossed your mind.
Yeah. So I think in general, like what has really been interesting to watch is just the way that as expats, we are naturally immersing ourselves into the community, into the culture. And so we're already working with local Thai. We're having the random dance at a bar or a club, or purchasing our fruit and food from the same Thai person in our neighborhood. And I think that, like, just in general, as we all start to embark on this journey and really like intentionally think about it, there's just like this individual way that we're contributing to bridging the gap between Black people and the locals that we live amongst in our respected location abroad. And then in a more nuanced way, I do see that a lot of Thai locals are really starting to be more supportive and aware of the Black experience and the Black expat that lives abroad. And we've had a few times where we've connected. I'm going to go back to my notes really quick just because I don't want to miss things, but we've connected with a few. Not only do we have like partnerships and connections with businesses similar to what I think you guys are kind of speaking to, and the fact that it does make sense to have connections with local businesses so that when people who are coming in to our locations, into Thailand, into Portugal, we can just like connect them to the restaurant, to the right hotel, to the right person to get a taxi with. If you want to go to the beach or whatever, right? Like, those partnerships are very important. But I think even deeper, being able to tap into these communities where people are speaking to the experience and supporting us has also been very beautiful. And so we've done a few things, like have a meeting. And actually, this was like years ago. Shane wasn't even living in Thailand at this point. But we had a Thriving in Thailand meetup, and we had a Thai lawyer come in and just speak to us about some of the laws, the norms that were going on. At the point, we had a lot of people who were dealing with the police and all the things that come with being Black abroad. And what was happening at that time was we were seeing a lot of people dealing with violence in clubs and da 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 da. And so we wanted to have this conversation so people understood what the conversation needed to be if you ever had an experience or an encounter with the local police, or what areas to avoid, et cetera, et cetera. We've also had interviews with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs here in Thailand. And during the Black Lives Matter movement, we had a lot of support from Thai communities and did a few Facebook Lives. And we had an interview with Bangkok Invaders, which is a very big hip hop group here in Thailand, and just really kind of bridging the conversation in that way. And I find just in general conversations, a lot of people, like I said, are becoming very aware. I mean, in April, we have Rolling Loud coming. And at this point, the people who are headlining Rolling Loud are people like Cardi B, Travis Scott, right? So I just think like it's already starting to be bridged and the conversations are happening. And so it's been beautiful to see. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's important that you touched on knowing the laws and as a foreigner, what, your rights are, because as Americans, we're very privileged in many ways. In other countries, things that might be normal to us, may not be normal here. So I think that's a great idea, a great takeaway, especially for us to put that down for a future project. So we can, make sure expats here are covered, and, people that are transitioning and traveling here also, know, this is what it is. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's very important. And it's a part of our experience for sure.
So we're going to, I don't see any questions here in the chat, but I don't know if anyone on Facebook has any questions, or if anyone wants to pop a quick one in the chat, but
Makara says she's visiting Thailand. That's her first stop.
I see that.
Oh, what part of Thailand? I can't see the questions right now, though.
Yeah.
Makara, what part are you visiting? If you feel comfortable sharing, give us a shout out.
Yes.
For those who don't know, I used to live in Thailand too, but I was in Chiang Mai. So I didn't really get to experience Ebony Expats like that, but I was a little jealous. I was like, they look like they're having a good time in Bangkok. And I wish I would have done that. Like, if I ever lived in Thailand again, I would live in Bangkok just for like the community aspect. Seemed really dope.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Because my bad. Go ahead, Shane.
No, you go ahead. You're good. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say thank you for sharing that. And me and you didn't even get to talk, Cam, but I do think that it's beautiful to see, like, just in you speaking to that, like you were in Chiang Mai, you were seeing what we were doing. That is a whole topic too, because I do feel like coming back to the topic of the, let me get my words together, coming back to the point that there are so many different communities out there already, and so many Facebook groups. Ebony Expats, just in the way that we have built it and in the foundation that I'm really standing this platform on, I do think that like it has a very specific energy to it. And at one point there was a vibe of like, okay, we can't get into EE and like Chiang Mai versus Bangkok. And it's just so interesting to see all of that. But I do think that is very cool to see you move from Thailand and be a person who was in Chiang Mai, where there is a community and there are Sunday dinners, et cetera, but it is not what it seems like you guys are trying to build. And I think just being able to see people like you continue to grow in your community and your journey, and then like contribute and go somewhere else and like make sure we're having these same type of experiences is really beautiful to see.
Yes, definitely. Like the community in Chiang Mai is a little bit more intimate, and it was harder to find people that were my age that had similar interests, which is why I was like, Ebony Expat seems like, you know, it's my vibe. They're doing things that I want to do. I also met the other Tori in Bangkok. So anytime I wanted to have fun, I would go down to Bangkok, and it was always a vibe.
It looks like we do have a question too. Well, Makara says she's going to Bangkok, so definitely hopefully we'll connect. We'll also link where you can find them at. Also, She Bad 1111 asks,
come on, She Bad.
Are
there single moms with kids in your community? Very, very important, especially when you're moving and traveling.
Yeah. We definitely have people from all walks of life, from all different type of backgrounds, and we do have people who have families who are single moms and single dads. Somebody that's coming to my mind is someone who used to work in education. It was a couple of years ago. She had 2 daughters who were in high school, and they were doing their thing. And then they went back home to Atlanta, which I see a few people here are also in Atlanta or from Atlanta. So shout out to y'all. I'm actually planning on being there in June and would love to see y'all. And then Texas as well. Shout out to y'all too. But people who basically have these children, whether and even you, Shane, like you, I'm thinking about Lily, who works with you in education, and she's a single parent and she has kids here. And I think that's what's really beautiful about Thailand, and just in general, most countries that a lot of us are moving to, there are a lot of resources for parents. So the schools are great. The ability to hire a nanny, the ability to just get a car, and all the different things that allow that experience to be a little bit more, I would say, manageable. I am not a parent, but I do feel like I'm a family woman at this point. Okay, I got a whole partner. Listen, I am a family woman, and but in general, though, I do community tap into the international schools, the education, being able to just tap into all the resources that are available, specifically speaking to Thailand, obviously. But
to piggyback off of that, there is a very strong educator presence, primarily because that's how most of us are able to get out here, myself included. And so there's definitely a lot of resources there available to you, whether it's people that are working at these international schools or have access to the resources that these schools can provide. And so I think it's honestly somewhere that is a lot more family friendly than people might realize. And to take it a bit deeper, and I'll leave it at this, but like it might even be a little bit safer and easier to raise your kids in a place like this, right? Because we're going to stand out regardless, but it's not detrimental to anyone's health, right? And I think it's quite a teachable moment for kids to be able to learn that and really figure out like, this is who I am, this is like what I represent, and be proud in that, and be able to really stand in that. And I think that's something that living in Asia as a Black person definitely allows room to really step into.
Yes. Well, thank you for that. That's really good to know. Also, as a single parent, I've traveled the world with my daughter in world school to unschooled, and definitely finding community where my daughter could thrive and meet other kids her age, especially kids that look like her, could relate. When we were living in Florida before that, the other side of Florida, and when we traveled and came back, the conversations and the experience she had, her friends could not relate to at all. So it was just like a big cultural difference as far as experience and exposure versus everybody going to Disney for the summer, everyone going to a camp, versus being able to see the whole world. So definitely that community, especially for single moms too, to be able to talk and share experiences and struggles and everything is very, very important when you're relocating or thinking about moving to a different country.
Yeah. I'm curious if somebody wanted to move to Thailand but did not want to go the educator route, because that's the route that I went. I was teaching English in Thailand. What are some options that they have available to them without having to be a teacher?
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna piggyback off of you, but I think you have a better.
Besides border runs, I know people do the border runs too.
I'm trying not to laugh so hard at the way that I saw Shane's face, but that is too funny. Okay, y'all need to think about that. But also, I want to say hey to Shanae. Shanae is in Atlanta, and
hey,
Shanae is just amazing. Shanae actually is one of our resources for Teach in Thailand. So people which y'all want me to stop talking about, but people who are interested in coming to Thailand to teach abroad, not that I want to stop talking about, but yeah, Shanae is our contact, and she is currently in Atlanta and really going to be working with people who do have a degree and they're thinking about using education abroad, teaching English abroad as a way to move abroad. So hey, Shanae, and you are welcome, Sheba 1111. I'm here for that name. As far as people moving abroad without teaching, because this is something that I do think comes up a lot. A lot of people who are contacting EE and moving to Thailand are likely going to be retired. That's going to be the easiest way because you can't come over and get a retiree visa. And we do see a lot of people who have retired, who are veterans, and they have income coming in from whatever assets they have or their social security, et cetera, and they're able to kind of make it work. So that's one option. I think the other option that we see in Bangkok specifically is a lot of people are entrepreneurs. And so anybody who is really serious about making this move and also has some sort of business, whether you are an artist, we have a lot of international artists in Thailand. I think just in Southeast Asia, just in general, like there's a lot more opportunity, I would say, to be here and kind of create your own brand and be able to get these opportunities for shows and creating your own events. So I do think that what we're starting to see is like that is going to be our next route into making this journey happen, specifically in a country like Thailand, until there are visas like the digital nomad visa, which they're in talks about launching, but that's not something that is actually available to us right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely say, I mean, it seems like a lot of like, especially if like you're in the entertainment route, that seems to be a way that, of course you start out with your tourist visa, but like, you string a couple gigs together long enough, you know what I mean? And it becomes much easier to do that and make yourself, allow yourself some permanence here. But really, I mean, I think thinking outside of the box, right? Thinking outside of what you might traditionally do or what you're traditionally like accustomed to. Like even for myself, I came here as an educator, but I will not leave as an educator, right? Like there's definitely a shift that happens because there's just a really creative energy. There's something about the energy in Bangkok that like literally can make you feel like you can do whatever it is that you really set out to do. And there's people that are doing that here. So yeah, I think just be open to what the possibilities could be like professionally or what they could be for you.
Yeah, I think the last thing I would want to add to this is that there are tons of jobs available. They are not the easiest to get because most companies are hiring Thai nationals. But even in my experience, I moved into Bangkok as a teacher and I was only teaching for 3 months. Like, so that is the way that as I was like in my apartment, figuring out how I was going to create community, I had basically took on a teaching job that I got within a couple of weeks and just like made it happen because I knew I needed to have a permit to have money coming in. But I think, in general, it's gonna start to shift, I really think, into like this entrepreneurship and stuff like that. But that's all I wanted to add.
Okay.
What I wanted to add is that if you are not an educator, because I was like, where was I going with that? If you are not an educator, if you are not an educator, it is very much so possible to get a job in another field. So my background is in marketing and operations. I've worked in corporate, and I don't know why I didn't really think about getting a corporate job. My first thing was just like, let me get an education job. It's quick, it's easy, it's going to be money. But the reality is there are ways to get jobs. And I found a marketing job and an HR job within 3 months of me living in Thailand, because I am a teacher, but not in that way.
Yeah.
So
it's not for everybody.
It's not.
I'm worried about him saying that.
Yeah.
Yes, we have Shebad asked another question. Just gonna throw this out there.
How do we get around all of those things?
Easy. So just like your typical rideshare app, right? Your Ubers, your Lyfts, whatever you use back home. We have something here called Grab, which is just like accessible for everything. You can order food on Grab. You get taxis on Grab. Me personally, I like to get on the motorbike because sometimes traffic is a little crazy. But I mean, you can send packages through this app. Like, it's literally anything you can really think of is all in this one platform for reasonably priced, fairly cheap prices, considering what you're probably paying back home wherever you're living right now. But like super accessible. Taxis are pretty easy to get. Now that tourists have come back and like Thailand is kind of reopened again, just be smart. They definitely, like you said before, right? That American privilege, they also see dollar signs when they find out you're American. So, you just kind of learn the lay of the land, or, you maybe one thing I would definitely advise. I know there's another section for this, but like learning a little bit of the language, especially things that help you get from point A to point B, extremely helpful, right? Because that'll help you just figure out like, okay, what's the reasonable price? Am I going the right direction? Like those little things. It's challenging at first, but I think save you a lot of headache in the long run.
Yeah. So what I want to add to that is, as a person who comes from Texas, and I see people here who are from Atlanta and Texas, I think we are used to having to take a car everywhere, and we don't live in cities where there is great public transportation. Bangkok is not one of those cities. Bangkok and just Thailand in general really does have a lot of ways to get around, from taking a 9 baht bus to where you got to go, or taking like 150 baht to take a van from Bangkok to a nearby island, and 150 baht is $5. So there are just so many different ways to get around in Thailand, and I do mean a lot of ways. Like, and I always joke about this, but I know you know this, Tam. It's like, if you want to hop over to an island, like, you're going to be looking at taking a bus and then a bike and then get on the back of somebody else's truck and all of the things. All of it.
Yeah, but, I miss that. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. So there was a topic that you guys had put on here, which was really great, and I really appreciate this time here, about what other countries we're interested in. And I'm definitely looking to get to Portugal, but I just don't see it being a livable city.
Right.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be there. I just don't see it as a livable city, though. I need my transportation. So that's a great question. That's a great question.
Yeah, it is a little bit different, like coming from Thailand, so in Chiang Mai, I had a motorbike, so that's how I was getting everywhere. Bangkok, I would not do it because it would give me like an anxiety attack. But to like taking public transportation. So in Lisbon, the public transportation is pretty good. It's a little slow at times, like the bus and the tram, but the metro is pretty quick. So yeah, it's definitely a different pace for sure.
I will say on that note, though, to the point about pace, allow yourself some time to get where you need to go, because there is a very much laid back, like, yes, it's easy to get around, but sometimes people not in no rush to get there. So
time.
If you know you need to be at a certain time, allow plenty of time to get there, because you're gonna find a way.
Same here.
We are.
I feel like outside of the US, everybody's just a little bit slower, taking their time, and you just kind of have to go with the flow a little bit.
Yeah, truly.
Yes.
Did you want to ask about the Black experience
Yeah, so I'm sure everyone's had like a different experience, but what has your experience being Black in Thailand been like, Tori and Shane?
Tori, let you go first.
Yeah, I think just in general, what I want to highlight here is the fact that being Black abroad, I need y'all to hear me very clear, is a whole vibe. This is it's the whole vibe, right? Like the healing that comes with this, the transformation, the opportunities. Yeah, it's the whole vibe.
Period.
That's all I got to say.
Segues right to what I was gonna say, actually, and it's just like, I feel like being able to experience my Blackness abroad, especially in Southeast Asia, has led to a lot of personal growth. And I think it's been more growth around unlearning what I thought I was supposed to do, or where I thought I was allowed to go, or what I thought I was able to have access to. And yeah, of course, it comes with its challenges, absolutely, as any transition, right? But ultimately, I think what it's given me is a stronger appreciation of my Blackness. And it's like, I really show up in that, and really the resiliency of our people. And we've been out here exploring. We've been out here exploring for some centuries, okay? But then just also understanding it is really cemented for me that like it is my birthright to do that. It is no other anybody else's, job to give me the permission to come and be where I decide I want. That's it.
Very true.
I love that. I know for me, like being in Thailand, that was my first experience living abroad. I felt free. Like that was, like you were saying, there was like a lot of like unlearning, but it gave me the space to show up authentically. I remember I had some encounters with the police, and I felt so like on edge at first, but I'm like, this is not the US. Like it's chill. Like I can have dialogue with the police without worrying about them doing something to me. But just the way that I showed up and moved through the world was so differently when I was in Thailand. I was like, this is what it's supposed to feel like.
It's just on every level. Mental freedoms, you know what I mean? Like you said, just like
truly
on edge in any other situation, but like here, it's just like, oh, wait a minute. I need to check myself here. Like I'm the one bringing this energy to this interaction. You know what I mean? And so it's just like being able to really kind of let that go. Or at least have a better understanding about that, and really just like, just kind of check some of your stuff at the door.
Definitely.
I just want to speak to a point that you wrote on your note, Shane, about the soft life and being able to tap into having a soft life and embrace having a soft life. And I think that coming from, like, all of us probably were really groomed to be like go out and figure out what we're going to be doing next, build out our careers, go to college, all these different things that we really have started to be more in this space of Black excellence, in this space of working hard, in this space of showing up, in this space of making sure that we are serving other people and doing all the things. And we really deserve to live a soft life and slow it down. So as much as we're talking about like, oh, they move slow, like the main, we deserve to move slow and slow it down and have a slow life, a soft life.
Like,
I love that.
Yeah, we're all Black women, so we carry that burden and that pressure. Just like we gotta save that superhuman syndrome that we're subject to often. It's like, no, like exactly. I deserve to take that off. I deserve to be tended to as well, right? And if nobody else thinks I should be tended to, I'm gonna tend to myself. And I feel like Thailand has a lot of places and a lot of opportunities to do that. So tap in, y'all. Come on.
I totally agree. Like it was the first time in my life where I was just pampering myself. Like I got massages every week. I was eating out. Like I had a lady for every kind of thing that I needed. And it was nice. Like that level of ease and softness and being taken care of. Whew, I miss it. Not gonna lie.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep.
Okay, so what's one piece of advice you would give someone traveling to Thailand for the first time?
Me. When I come, please do tell.
You want to hop on that one?
Yeah, I jump in there. So I think it's kind of hard to narrow down to one piece, but I'm gonna try to meld these together. I think really, like, don't limit your experience to your expectations. I think a lot of times people go a place and they say, "Oh, I seen it look like this on Instagram, or I thought it was going to be like this. And then they completely just check out of what the experience could be because it didn't quite meet what they thought it would be, or it exceeded that, one of the two. But I think if you really can like leave that aside, especially Thailand is different. Like it's cool, it's fun, but it's different. And if you don't come here with, you know, you got to be open. You got to be open when you come out here. So just not getting hung up on what you thought it would be or what your expectation would be. But also too, to the point of like being an American, take full advantage of that privilege, but don't abuse it, right? There's a real fine line between being able to have a privilege that maybe our, you know, other counterparts might be used to or accustomed to. And then there's a really fine line between just like not being humane towards people or treating them as though that they're less than you. And I find that, you know, again, back to kind of checking my stuff at the door, it's easy to assume everything is a bit racist sometimes, right? But in reality, sometimes it's just like, I just need to approach it with a little bit more like tact and maybe a little bit more kindness. And to change that shifts the dynamic quite drastically sometimes. Yeah, because they don't know much about us, right? So it's just like I'm not, you know, it's whether I choose to be or not, I'm always that representative of us.
Okay. Yes.
What you got on it, Tori?
So, I don't know if Pam's still going or not. She paused for a second.
Okay. I didn't know if Tori was going to.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, my bad. Yeah. I felt like Shane had really put a whole lot to that. Yeah. So I knew that we should kind of address this because you guys just asked the question about the Black experience in Thailand, which I think most of the time that is really people wanting to know about this type of thing, right? Like how we are being treated because of our skin color and not exactly like what our transformation is as Black women. And I see that Sinead just put a comment here that we do need to be open because most Thai people are not used to the melanin, and positive energy is the key. And I do think that that's like, it's interesting. It is very interesting because in general, as Black people in Thailand, we are accepted on a level of like not having issues and not having to deal with some of the things that we would be facing back in America. And I know like not everybody is American that's in our community, but I think just in general, as Black people, it is a lot of curiosity still happening. There is a lot of just conversations. I would say even with like not just Thai people, but other expats who are non-Black. There's a lot of that still going on. There's a lot of that still going on. And so that is the experience. And I'm seeing that is starting to have me in this place of, I don't even know what to call it, but it's still some more stuff to work through there. There's still a lot of opportunity for us to find deeper healing. And That's all I want to add on that.
Okay. Do either one of you have plans to go back to the US or relocate to any other countries?
I mean, I feel like we'll stop through there because I feel like the way we move and we got business to handle in the States, right? We know that's we're gonna have to have some sort of roots or home base. So I think we'll definitely touch base again. I personally struggle with that decision just because, as somebody who's attached, I don't really get a decision by myself. And so I have it my way, not really. I wouldn't really want to move back. Don't really plan to. But I've also learned that just life will take me where I need to be. So
definitely.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting because I didn't even really plan on being in Thailand for this long. I didn't really plan on not living in America. I didn't grow up and start building my career in the way of thinking that I was not going to be living in America. And I am very much so still tied to family and all the things that we all are. But yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting because I do think there's a lot to, like Shane was saying, like a lot to build just in general and speak to people and connect with people who are still living back home. But yeah, like, I don't know, like my life is not just, it's interesting. It's very interesting because I do think that this is probably a conversation that a lot of us expats, a lot of people are in this place of like, I'm never going back home. Like they just know that. And I do think that at one point in my life, when I first was here in Thailand, I was literally feeling like that. I am never going back home. And I came out in 2017. I went back home in 2018 for 2 weeks. And then I didn't go back home until 2021. And that's not okay, right? Like, as much as we don't like some of the things that are going on in America and and I'm not to like belittle the things that we know are true things that are affecting us as a community, as a collective. But when I go back home and I'm seeing my family and my sisters and my friends and cousins and everybody who is like still in this space that not only needs support, but also like there is, as much as we're talking about community here as expats, that is our foundation as well. So it's interesting. It's very interesting for me. As far as like living in another country, I am loving London right now. My partner is from London. We have a couple of spaces in London, and I'll probably be there next week. I'm looking forward to going to Portugal to see what Portugal is like and just to kind of connect with the community, as well as like Mexico and yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I mean, Cam, Heather, and I all arrived within like a year and a half ago. But to hear from you all, you've been living in Thailand for years, and you're at the point where you're like, I mean, like you said, like when you first just move somewhere, you're very much like, I'm never going back to the U.S. Like, who is the U.S.? I don't know her. But after having been somewhere for years, it'll be interesting to see how our attitudes change, and maybe like softening a little bit to just going back to see family and things like that, or exploring other areas.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What are you most looking forward to as a brand in 2023?
Shane, you want to start that one off?
Yeah, I think for me, we're doing a lot of things. We're doing a lot of dope stuff.
Okay.
I'm just looking forward to people really understanding what we've created and how special it is. I think, as Tori was saying before, it's just like, you know, of course, people can find the group chats and they can find the Facebooks and like all the things to, you know, connect. But I think we're going much deeper. We have deeper touch points, more memorable touch points, deeper impact. And just being able to build off of that. I know one thing that I definitely really want to just create more opportunities around is like community coming together. Just because there is something really special about being able to hold space and create spaces where people can come out and they can be their best selves, right? And I think those are the things that sometimes, you know, it can be kind of hard to keep up with as the community grows, as more and more people come in, right? There's all these different influences, but I think for me that is something, and not the planning piece of it, because that's difficult, but it is the seeing people come together. And so just people having brand awareness around like, that is what we do. Yes, we're a community, but we're also like, we're an organization that is really, you know, building and putting steps forward to create sustainable communities outside of wherever we're initially from.
Nice. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm excited to start having more conversations like this and to really speak to this experience. You know, like we talked about, Shane and I have really been doing a lot of behind the scenes work. And so even in just like the way that we built Ebony Expats and who Tori has become to a lot of people, I think just like a lot shifted, like so much has changed. Our platform looks different. The way that we support and show up is different. And so that's interesting for me. But I think that we're an organization that is a part of this conversation in a way that feels so good, and just being able to be a part of a community and a collective that is out here healing, that is out here having these conversations, being a part of a community that we are able to support each other in the ways that we are. I love this. This is why we do this. I'm looking forward to doing more of this. We're going to be putting out some of our old podcasts, and I know that we're going to kind of talk about this at the end, but for anyone who is interested in listening to these type of conversations and hearing more about Thailand, we are putting our old podcasts back into play, and new podcasts and new content and all the things. And so I'm just excited about that, like really starting to connect again, because at the core of what I do, I like to see people come together. I like to see people understanding and like building out whatever they need in their life so that they are thriving and building the lives that they want, really having full lives. And it's not easy. It's really not easy, which I think like is why we have this whole coaching aspect, because it's just an experience where there's so many decisions having to be made at like often, very often. So I'm really
and we know it because we live it.
Say that again.
I'm saying we know it because we live it.
Right. And even just being able to share these experiences, and like I think I'm really coming out of a part of the expat journey, like even just hearing you talk about the fact that you've been like a year and a half, and I've been living abroad now for 6 years. I think like I'm in this part of the expat experience that a lot of us come across, which is like, okay, what's next? Literally, what's next? And that it's a whole process. It's a whole process. And we would think it would get easier, but it doesn't. And this is why we need community and to be able to tap in and all the things. So I'm really looking forward to that, and just like being able to share. And like now that I have gone through a whole nother storm that I can speak to, I think it's really going to like up level what we offer and what we do as an organization. So I'm excited about that.
For sure.
Yes, thank you for sharing. I'm going to go in and get some questions from the audience. There was a question that came up. This is from Lady J, 1969. Hello, ladies. It's Joe. On the subject of non-teaching jobs, can you also find a job in your country that will let you work from the Thailand location? Many people do jobs from their home country. So I'm assuming remote work is what she's asking about, possibly.
Oh.
Yeah. It seems like Joe is. First of all, hey Joe, I saw you.
Hey Joe.
Joe used to live in China for a while and recently moved to Thailand. I want to say last year or 2021 actually. And is also in between Thailand and Europe and all that. But yeah, that is true. I don't really like to speak to this because technically you are not allowed to work in Thailand if you do not have a work permit. And I do think that there are different, like obviously laws and stuff like that around online work. In fact, there are, and I know Lady J will probably like speaks to that a little bit in the comments. There are, but I think that it can get tricky. I don't really want to speak to that, but a lot of people definitely are becoming digital nomads. People are definitely having these remote work jobs and working from home. What I will say about living in Thailand, and as a person who, when I moved from being a teacher to working at a marketing agency here in Thailand, and all of my clients were in America, it is not the easiest location to work these remote hours with US-based businesses, and that's just a fact. But that is not to say that it is not possible, and that is not to say that you cannot have online jobs, online businesses, all of that. Check the laws, check all the things.
Thank you for that. The next question is by Action VJ. What's the bug situation in Thailand?
The ants in Thailand are ridiculous.
Hey, okay. I feel like in the city, you don't really have too many problems, right? You don't really have too many problems.
You don't have no problems. I got mosquitoes running around right now.
Tell the truth.
Okay, so
I literally have 6 mosquitoes in my room before getting on this call.
So I guess it matters of experience too, right? Because I grew up in Florida, right? So I'm used to mosquitoes don't faze me at all, right? So to me, that feels like, oh, that's a small problem. It's when you get out there in them islands with them tucas and them whatever other kind of bugs. Yeah, it can be a situation, but I think if you stay, I personally, especially out in the islands or like somewhere a little more remote, I'm always covered in bug spray. Like that's the actual lotion I'm wearing. And then other than that though, I mean, it's just I would say keep your vaccines up to date, because dengue is real. People they've been traveling too. But I think, nothing you can't handle, nothing you can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it shouldn't stop you from coming if that's what you're worried about.
Hello, that is a good point. That is a good point. It should not stop you. But the mosquitoes are bad. They're worse during rainy season, and they do come out. And I literally do have 6 mosquitoes floating around my room right now. I've probably gotten bit twice since being on this call. Like that is like the true experience. But I come from Texas, where we see a lot of cockroaches and things like that, and that is not something that you having to deal with. Shanae just talked about the geckos. I forgot all about the geckos.
I love geckos though. They eat the bugs.
No,
Yeah.
that's true. The
Like,
geckos and lizards wore me out. They randomly showed up all the time. So when I first moved to Bangkok, I wasn't even living in the city. I was living probably like an hour out of the city. And the truth is like the geckos are on another level. That's not necessarily a bug, but it's like they're in your space. They are truly in your space. You will see
you're
a
in their
gecko
space.
just pop out.
You're in their space, right?
That's true too. Good point. Good point. But they're there, and
Are they like the
that's
little like Geico geckos, or we're talking like Komodo dragon? Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
they're
those
big.
two, but they be in the 7-Elevens.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna go on to the next question because we are a little over on time. So the next question is, are you doing residency in London or Thailand? I think that was for you, Tori.
Yeah. So I am in Thailand. That's where I am based at, and that's where most of my paperwork is at. And yeah, when it comes to London, I think I'm in Thailand. I'll leave it at that. Thailand.
Okay, so the next question is, with the global explosion of Americans moving abroad, do you see the difference in residents and communities changing? And how do you feel about this?
I assume they like here in Thailand. I don't necessarily know if it's changing, because I feel like there's always been a pretty strong, like American presence in some of these communities. I think if anything, that may be more. I think we're seeing an influx of more people across the diaspora that are coming to Thailand, and the community mixing in that way. I think it's a beautiful thing. Like, as Tori mentioned before, like our community isn't just based for African Americans or people that are coming from the States. And we very much understand that about our community. And honestly, like one thing that I know was a push for me is I want to invite more of those cultural influences, and people really feel like they can share that and bring that to our shared spaces. But I think it's a beautiful thing, because then I think it also shows the larger culture that like we're not a monolith and we don't exist in one particular type of way. So yeah, I think it's dope, personally.
Yeah, I want to understand a little bit more about the questions and what residents and communities you are speaking to specifically, Makara. But I think, like, in general, there is a large influence that expats have on Thailand and Southeast Asia, and just in general, the rest of the world. And like I just said, like we have Rolling Loud coming in April, and I think that
That's so
speaks
dope.
to a lot of things, though, right? Like it speaks to a lot of things. It's not going to be Black people booking out this concert, right? We're talking about Thai people who are going to be showing up to buy these tickets, right? So I think that I just kind of go back to the point that like we're already starting to see the fact that the world is multicultural, and we are all out here connecting, and I think we're just a part of that. I typically say, or not typically, but I've been starting to use this word of like we are pioneers within this collective, like as black expats who are moving abroad. We're really a part of this conversation where we're starting to heal some of these things that are happening between different cultures and different people from different places. And but at the same time, yes, it's interesting. We are not seeing I don't think that the community locally is changing as a result specifically to Americans moving abroad right now. If that is, that's. But we do have a large impact on, you go to a club and they are playing Black hip hop music for the most part, right?
Yeah.
And that's just the facts. That's just the facts. That's just the facts. Facts on racks.
Yeah.
So
I believe we already covered this question already. This is the last question we'll be taking because it's already an hour. We're over our time slot allotted. But what's in the future for Ebony Expats? I feel like you guys did kind of touch on it with the question about what are you most looking forward to for a brand in 2023. But if you just want to quickly answer Lady J's question, and we can end this live on an amazing note.
Yes. So I'm gonna let you take the floor on that one.
Oh man, I was gonna let you bring it home. Just more so, like I said, we're gonna be launching our coaching program, and I'm helping expats go through that transformative experience of becoming an expat. And just more brand awareness around. We have a community, yes, locally, but we are really an organization that is leading the way, leading the charge for people to just kind of redesign their life, redesign the narrative and who they thought they were, and really empower them to make that change and do it successfully.
Yeah. More opportunities to connect with the community. And yeah, looking forward to that.
Yes. So we will definitely be posting in the description section how, everyone can find you guys on Instagram and on your website. But if you just want to give your Instagram handle right now, and whenever you guys watch the replay, whoever's watching or going to watch, the handle and the website will be in the description box.
Cool. So the handle for Instagram is at Ebony Expats. And if you are interested in moving to Thailand, if you're interested in our events, our trips that are coming up, which we haven't really talked about, but we do plan on having trips for people who want to tap into Thailand specifically. If you go to our homepage, ebonyexpats.com, there's a form on that page where you can notate if you are currently living in Thailand, if you're planning on relocating, if just where you are in your journey, and then we can route you accordingly and get you tapped into the right resources. If you need a quick coaching session or just a travel consultation, you can book one of those on our websites as well. We also have a contact form if you just want to shoot us a question.
Yes. Well, thank you everyone for hopping on the slide. Thank you, Ebony Expats. It was truly a pleasure speaking with you both, and definitely looking forward to seeing some of the amazing new projects that you guys are launching this year. If we all ever make it back to Thailand, hopefully we all will, we'll definitely be hitting you up. It'll be nice to have a possible collab meetup between Ebony Expats and Black in Portugal. I wanted to give a shout out to everyone that has joined and watched. Definitely feel free to share. The replay will definitely be available on our Facebook, our Instagram, our Facebook page, YouTube, and the link will be in our bio section on our Instagram. So I am going to end this live, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Thank
you so much. Thank you. Take care. We'll see y'all in Portugal too.
Yes. Bye.
Hit us up.